Okay, so this is a little demonstration of what we can call a boosted Lego 9748. That is, it's the Lego 9748 R2D2 that's been modified by the addition of the Lego Boost components, which I've tried as far as possible just to leave as they come from the R2D2 in that set. So if I show you R2 waking up, as he does when you start the remote control app. So that's his little routine for that. This is the random head movement. Okay, the noise doesn't do very much, but the remote control works reasonably well. The steering, he is steering. I can somewhat predict how the steering is going to go using the remote control, and I will show some of the information about how exactly you can get the boost components to fit in there. So if we start with his head, perhaps that's maybe the easiest place to look. The motor is simply connected to the beam that's already existing there, and it's very easy then to bring an axle through. I strongly suspect that was the designer's intent with the original design, which, although it didn't have a motorized head with the simple MicroScout, it would be very easy to put a motor in that position. Of course, that lines up to the center of his head. I have modified the head bracket somewhat, just because the head tended to bump against these parts. I didn't want to go to an elaborate way of making this smooth. So I put the skid plates on the two, what originally anchored the head in a fixed position with grey half pegs. I put skid plates on there, and then these little bushes on this axle prevent the axle from going too far into the motor, such that the head then just crashes all the time. As it is, it needs that little separation just to give it enough room that those skid plates will do what they need to do. So that works quite well. With regards to the boost hub itself, it's not very difficult to get it to go into the position that is left when you remove the MicroScout and its middle leg. I'm struggling a bit with one hand here, so let me just put that down. I've essentially, to give the room for the hub to fit, the central bracket, that one, the long grey bracket across the middle, had to be moved down just one stud. So that grey arrangement you see there is all one stud lower. Everything else is pretty much as it was, although the lower retaining peg isn't used here. It isn't long enough because the boost hub isn't as wide. You see it's missing there, but it is sort of serving a purpose to sort of keep the boost hub in position. So instead, and I will just disconnect this quickly just so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, I use just 3 axles, that is axles of length 3, and I'll tell what I'm looking at here, and a bush. So in pushing that 3 axle through into that bush and then into the hole on the hub, that holds the lower part perfectly well. The upper connection, as you can see, would have missed. I was struggling to find a point at which a hole and the hub itself lined up, but in the 9748 there are these additional bricks, the 1x6. Simply put that on top of that 4 you can see there, which is the hub itself, and between that distance and the now moved bracing part there really isn't very much play there at all. That's not moving, so it's secure. And that was it, pretty much. I left the wheels as they were on the boost model. I mean, you can have differing opinions about whether that's an elegant solution to R2's front wheel issue, but it does at least give the ability to steer very easily using the boost hub. And finally, I just put the colour sensor on the bottom. I suppose you could do a line following program if you wanted to, or put it elsewhere on the body of R2, possibly even in the head, to give him other reactions to the light sensor itself. So pretty straightforward and quite satisfying to turn what was a not particularly impressive in terms of his intelligence, the original Droid developer, as opposed to the Droid Commander, so the 1999 set, the Droid developer, he pretty much just went backwards and forwards and in a little bit of a circle, and that was it. Obviously with the boost having left and right wheels, you can go wherever you like, and his head is independently controlled. Compared to the Droid Commander, of course, he doesn't have the port at the front to interact with anything. You could possibly find a way of doing that. I just haven't spent the time to do that. I hope that was useful, and have fun.